Imagine standing before a vast starless sky, the quiet stretching infinitely in every direction. This is where every telepathic conversation truly begins, in the silent realms that lie beyond sight and sound. Long before a single word flickers across your lips, you are already conversing in the theater of your mind. It's here, in that uncharted space, that the seeds of understanding take root, nurtured by the vividness of your inner vision. When you first close your eyes and settle into that unseen domain, notice how your breath deepens naturally, as though the simple act of waiting for the invisible exchange invites the body to relax. In this stillness, imagine the person you wish to connect with standing beside you. Perhaps a friend, a loved one, or even a stranger whose warmth you sense without explanation. See their face, not as a distant photograph, but alive with subtle expressions. The soft curve of their smile, the gentle lift of their brow, the unspoken question shining in their eyes. Now, allow your mind's eye to shift from their features to the very energy between you. Picture an ethereal thread of light stretching from your heart to theirs, pulsing with each breath you share. This thread is not static. It dances with color and rhythm, carrying the unspoken language of feeling. As you hold this image, notice, is it a golden glow that radiates confidence? A silvery stream that ripples with curiosity? The richer and more precise you make this mental picture, the stronger the foundation for your telepathic dialogue. Next, breathe life into the scene by infusing it with the essence of emotion. Feel the anticipation that swells like a gentle wave just before it breaks, the soft thrill of knowing that in a moment a message will pass between your minds. Let your heartbeat echo this expectancy, syncing with the silent pulse of communication. When you anchor your focus in that feeling, you calibrate your entire being to the frequency of the unseen conversation, rendering the ordinary senses nearly obsolete. As the image solidifies, begin to hear the conversation in the silence. This is not an audible sound, but an inner resonance, like the faint echo of a bell heard miles away, growing clearer as you lean into it. Trust that resonance. It might arrive as a word, a phrase, or simply a tone that conveys warmth, urgency, or wonder. When you treat these impressions with respect, allowing them to shimmer without judgment, you affirm the reality of that first keynote. Every telepathic conversation begins in the unseen. Practice this mental rehearsal each day, not as a chore, but as a sacred dialogue with your own imagination. In the morning light, before distractions stir, revisit the scene. Stand once more beneath the starless sky, reconnect that thread of light, and relish the anticipation. With time, the process becomes as natural as inhaling and exhaling. You no longer need to force the vision into being. It unfolds effortlessly, a testament to the power of persistent mental imagery. It helps to anchor these exercises in familiar contexts. For example, next time you take a walk in nature, imagine conversing mind to mind with a beloved animal, a dog, a bird, even a tree. Sense its silent response, the steady patience of its presence, the gentle curiosity in its sway. By translating telepathy into the language of the natural world, you expand your confidence, learning that unseen exchanges are not the promise of mystics alone, but the birthright of every conscious being. Be mindful of common pitfalls. If your mental picture drifts into vagueness, blurred shapes, waning colors, you'll likely feel uncertain about any impressions that follow. To counter this, pause and enrich the image, tighten the focus, sharpen the hues, or add background details like the texture of fabric or the scent of rain. Every extra detail you weave into the unseen scene strengthens the signal, making your inner stage more vivid and emotionally charged. At first, you may wonder if this is mere fantasy. It is not. Consider how you plan a conversation with a friend. Long before you dial the phone, you hear their voice in your mind. You anticipate their reaction. You feel their laughter. Telepathic practice simply extends that familiar imaginal faculty beyond the confines of your own head, inviting another consciousness to meet you in the same silent realm. When you honor this parallel, you demystify the process and awaken to the truth that the unseen is as real as the room you inhabit. Remember, the quality of your unseen rehearsal shapes everything that follows. If you imagine the other person distracted or doubtful, you are less likely to perceive their true response. Instead, hold the unwavering conviction that your counterpart is fully present and eager to engage. This elevated assumption acts like a magnet, drawing the unseen exchange into alignment with your heartfelt expectation. To deepen your skill, experiment with different emotional tones. One day, focus on joy. Imagine the conversation brimming with laughter, playful banter, shared delight. Another day, cultivate compassion. Sense a gentle understanding flowing back and forth, offering solace or encouragement. By varying the emotional palette of your mental scene, you not only enhance your telepathic proficiency, but also enrich your capacity for empathy in everyday life. Finally, take note of synchronicities that arise after your practice. Perhaps you'll receive a phone call from the very person you've been speaking to in silence, or you might encounter a written message that perfectly mirrors your unspoken thought. These moments are not coincidences, but validations, confirmation that the unseen conversations you cultivate in your imagination ripple outward into the world of form. In embracing the unseen as the true birthplace of telepathic dialogue, you transform every silent practice into a portal of connection. With each vivid image and heartfelt sensation, you bridge the gap between minds, forging conversations that begin long before words are spoken and continue long after the physical senses have fallen away. Imagine standing at the edge of a still lake at dawn, the water glassy and calm, reflecting every nuance of the awakening sky. In that sacred moment, you sense that whatever you project into the lake, even the subtlest ripple, will be mirrored back without distortion. This is the essence of your second keynote, to cultivate the unwavering assumption that your intention is already received. When you prepare to speak into the silence, you must carry within you the absolute certainty that the other mind is attuned, ready to listen and respond. To begin, acknowledge how powerful your mindset truly is. Think of intention as a radio broadcast. Your conviction determines the strength of the signal. If you broadcast with hesitation or doubt, your message will come through faintly, garbled by static. But when you broadcast with confidence, when your heart knows without question that your signal is being picked up, you transform that invisible wave into a crystal clear channel. In practical terms, this means shifting from "I hope they hear me" to "they are already hearing me now." To embed this assumption deep within your psyche, start each practice session with a brief ritual of affirmation. You might, for example, gently press your hand to your heart and say to yourself, "My message is received." Speak it softly but firmly, as though you are reminding a lifelong friend of a shared truth. Notice how your chest expands with that declaration, how your breath flows more freely. That physical sensation anchors the assumption in both mind and body, priming you to send a coherent telepathic signal. Next, consider how faith and doubt feel in your daily life. When you believe something fully, whether it's that a loaf of bread will rise in the oven or that a friend will arrive on time, you carry a lightness, a buoyancy in your step. Doubt, by contrast, feels heavy and constricting, as if you're dragging an invisible weight behind you. Telepathic practice relies on that same principle. Carry the lightness of faith into your inner dialogue, and you free your intention to travel unimpeded through the unseen. As you settle into this practice, imagine the person on the receiving end already nodding in understanding. Don't wait for an external proof. Instead, give your mind a rehearsal of mutual engagement. Picture your counterpart responding in kind, perhaps with a subtle shift of thought, a welcoming warmth, or an eager curiosity. Even if you cannot yet sense their response clearly, the act of imagining it as present reinforces your core belief that your message is being heard. It helps to anchor this assumption in real-life examples. Recall a time when you felt profoundly understood, perhaps by a close friend or family member. Remember how it felt to know, without speaking, that they got you. Channel that feeling into your telepathic practice. By drawing on a genuine memory of connection, you inject authenticity and emotional depth into your unspoken exchange. The more vividly you tap into that recollection, the more power you lend to your present intention. In the earlier stages, you might notice an internal tug of war. Part of you believes your message is received, while another part suspects you're simply imagining it. When this happens, gently acknowledge the doubt without chastising yourself. Then return your focus to the heart of certainty. You might even give the doubt a name. "I see you there, skeptic," and then consciously set it aside as you breathe in conviction. In this way, you learn to coexist with uncertainty without letting it derail your practice. To deepen your trust, observe small signs of synchronicity in everyday life. Perhaps you think of a coworker moments before they call you, or you write an email and soon receive a message that echoes your own unspoken phrasing. These little nods from the universe are whispers of confirmation. Your intention is indeed reaching its mark. When you tune into these occurrences, you reinforce the core assumption that your telepathic signal is active and effective. Consistency is key. Dedicate a brief time each day, 5 or 10 minutes, to this practice of assumed reception, Over time, you'll notice your entire posture shifting, how you hold your shoulders, the steadiness of your gaze, the cadence of your inner voice. All of these subtle changes reflect the deepening conviction that your message is not merely an echo of your own desire, but a living exchange already in motion. Incorporate small experiments throughout your day. Before entering a conversation, silently send a simple intention. Let our words flow with ease, or may they hear the warmth in my intentions. Then observe how the interaction unfolds. Often you'll discover that the very quality you imagined manifests in the real exchange, as though you had placed a seed of possibility into fertile soil and watched it sprout. Above all, practice kindness toward yourself in this unfolding journey. Cultivating unwavering assumption is not about perfection, it is about gradual awakening. Each time you affirm that your intention is received, you reinforce a neural pathway of possibility, making it easier to align with that certainty the next time. Cherish every moment of resonance, no matter how faint, knowing that each one is a stepping stone toward a seamless telepathic conversation. By holding fast to the belief that your intention is already received, you transform doubt into a distant echo, and faith into the guiding compass of your inner world. In that space of assured reception, every message you send carries the magnetic imprint of your conviction, weaving an unbreakable bond between minds long before any word is spoken. Picture yourself standing in the hush of early morning when the world feels ripe with possibility and every breath seems to carry a promise. In that moment, you sense that feeling is more than a passing emotion. It is the very heartbeat of creation. When you entrust your message to that heartbeat, you speak in a language more potent than any thought alone. Begin by noticing how thoughts float like clouds, ever shifting, sometimes opaque, sometimes luminous, but seldom anchored. Thoughts can flicker with distraction. One moment you plan a sentence, the next you leap to a memory or a worry. Feelings, by contrast, are rivers of energy that flow through you with purpose. When you ground your intention in feeling, joyful curiosity, heartfelt compassion, you transform a mere command into a magnetic force that draws the unseen toward you. To cultivate this habit, first pause and breathe. Close your eyes and recall a moment when you felt truly alive. Perhaps the thrill of laughter shared with a friend, or the serene wonder of watching sunlight dance on water. Sink into that memory until you can feel the warmth, the openness, the deep satisfaction coursing through your body. Let that vibration settle in your heart like a glowing ember. Now, frame the telepathic message you wish to send not as an abstract set of words, but as an offering of that very sensation. If you long to convey reassurance, feel the comforting embrace of kindness wrapping around you. If you desire curiosity, stir a genuine wonder, as if you're discovering a hidden treasure for the very first time. By embodying the emotion, you become a living transmitter whose signal resonates far beyond mere mental speech. Imagine then that your counterpart is tuning in. Picture them receiving not a lifeless instruction, but the pulse of your feeling. They do not decipher a string of concepts. They sense the vibration and respond in kind. In this shared space of emotion, the invisible bond strengthens, and the dialogue gains a depth that words alone could never achieve. Practice this daily. Choose a simple sentence. I share with you my joy, or I extend to you warm understanding, but before you mentally speak it, anchor yourself in the corresponding feeling. Feel it surge through your chest, fill your lungs, quicken your pulse. Only then release the thought into the unseen. Notice how the act feels different, lighter, richer, more immediate. Over time, you will observe that messages dispatched from a felt place arrive more swiftly and with greater clarity. You might sense a subtle echo of warmth in your mind, or catch a fleeting image that mirrors the emotion you sent. These impressions may be delicate at first, a gentle tug, a soft glow, but they are unmistakable signs that feeling carries your intention where thoughts alone falter. Beware the temptation to override this process with sheer willpower. When you rely solely on forceful thinking, you must understand me now, you risk creating friction, as though you were shouting across a crowded room. Feeling, in its essence, is an open invitation, not a demand. It beckons, it attracts, it moves in harmony with the natural flow of consciousness. To deepen your proficiency, vary the emotional textures you explore. One day, cultivate playful excitement. Imagine the delight of sharing a secret joke. The next, explore serene gratitude. Sense the calm warmth of appreciation filling every cell. With each new shade of feeling, you expand your telepathic palette. discovering which emotions resonate most powerfully with different people and contexts. Reflect on everyday exchanges as training grounds. Before a conversation with a colleague, silently infuse your intention with supported confidence. Before you express sympathy to a friend, conjure the genuine ache of empathy in your own heart. Observe how these moments unfold. Words flow more smoothly. Eyes meet more warmly. The atmosphere itself seems to lighten. It helps to remember that feeling is the soul's native tongue. Long before language existed, our ancestors communicated through shared moods, comforting a child with a gentle gaze, signaling alarm through a sudden shift in posture. Those primordial channels remain intact within us. By choosing feeling over thought, you open a door to that timeless mode of connection. If you ever feel frustrated, if your telepathic practice seems to falter, pause and return to the sensation. Let go of any critical voice that whispers it's not working, and instead slip back into the warmth or wonder you first invoked. Doubt is a cold draft that dissipates the power of feeling. Compassion for yourself rekindles it. One tangible exercise is to use music as an emotional amplifier. Play a short piece that stirs the feeling you wish to convey, a gentle piano melody for peace, a buoyant rhythm for enthusiasm. As the notes wash over you, merge with the music until the feeling becomes indistinguishable from the song itself. Then, as the final chord fades, send that unified energy into the unseen. Music, like feeling, transcends words and ignites the imagination. Another practice involves journaling the sensations you experience. After each session, jot down how the feeling arose, where you notice it in your body, and any impressions you received in return. Over days and weeks, you'll map the landscape of your inner world and chart the subtle ways feeling propels your telepathic skill. Above all, remember that feeling is a gift you freely offer. It is not transactional, not a tool to bend others to your will, but a bridge you build from one heart to another. When you share feeling, whether it is love, curiosity, or kindness, you honor the inherent unity of consciousness that binds us all. By prioritizing feeling over thought, you align with the most potent current of creation itself. In each silent exchange, you become a radiant source of energy, a beacon that others naturally gravitate toward. Gradually, you will find that every conversation, spoken or unspoken, unfolds with greater ease, richer understanding, and a depth of connection that transcends the limitations of language. This is the art you cultivate when you trust in feeling more than thought, the art of weaving invisible threads of emotion into the tapestry of shared reality. Imagine you're an artist standing before a blank canvas, paintbrush in hand, your mind buzzing with possibilities. You could fuss endlessly over the kind of brush to use, the exact mix of pigments, or the texture of the canvas itself. Or you could dive straight into the image you want to create. In telepathic practice, this choice between worrying about how and reveling in what is the bridge to effortless connection. When you focus on mechanics, wondering if your thoughts will travel clearly or if your counterpart's mind is sufficiently attuned, you fragment your energy. Your attention scatters across doubts. Am I picturing the right scenario? What if they don't perceive my message? Instead, anchor your entire awareness in the message itself, the vivid content you long to share. Start by distilling your intention to its purest form. What warmth do you wish to convey? Perhaps it's a heartfelt question. Are you feeling loved today? Or an offering of encouragement? I see your strength shining brightly. Once you clarify the essence, hold it gently in your imagination as though cradling a fragile bird. When your focus is undivided, the unseen realms respond to that clarity. As you imagine the message, paint it with sensory details. Don't merely think warmth. Feel the glow of sunlight on your skin, the gentle pressure of a hand on your shoulder. If you're asking a question, hear the tone of your inner voice. Soft, curious, expectant. By enriching the content with rich human sensations, you create a living, breathing tapestry in which your telepathic exchange can unfold. I recall a time when I practiced this shift on a quiet morning walk. Instead of fretting over whether my unspoken greeting would reach a friend, I focused entirely on the feeling I wanted them to receive, the comfort of a shared memory, the laughter we'd once enjoyed together. In that moment, the image in my mind was so vivid, us sitting by a crackling fire, smiling at each other, that I was certain they would sense my message. Next, allow your imagination to roam freely within that scene. Add color, texture, even subtle background sounds. If you're expressing joy, envision the sparkle of light on water or the soft melody of birdsong. If you're exploring curiosity, picture a door slightly ajar, glowing with question marks. The richer the mental movie, the more magnetic your unspoken words become. Notice how your body responds when you dial into it. What? Your shoulders drop, your jaw softens, your breathing steadies. This bodily ease reflects the mind's liberation from doubt. You're no longer wrestling with technique. You're immersed in the living content of your thought. That shift alone can transform even the faintest mental whisper into a clear, resonant signal. It can help to frame the exercise as storytelling. Imagine you're sharing an intimate tale around a campfire. You describe the crackle of embers, the hush of the forest at night, the taste of hot tea on your tongue. In telepathic conversation, you tell your story inwardly with equal richness. You're not delivering a dry memo, you're inviting another consciousness into a shared narrative. Practice this daily with small intentions. Before you speak aloud, silently imbue your thought with vivid detail. May they feel the calm of ocean waves, or may they sense the warmth of my support like a cozy blanket. Observe how your internal posture shifts. The corners of your lips might lift, your gaze soften. Signs that your being embodies the content fully. Over time, you'll find that message is born from a rich watt thread through the unseen effortlessly. You might notice a friend's text arriving with a tone that mirrors your own inner emphasis, or you might receive a spontaneous idea in response, as though your counterpart finishes your sentence in their own mind. These echoes aren't magic. They're the natural outcome of clear, content-focused intention. If you ever slip into technical worry, what if I get the wording wrong? Simply acknowledge the thought and redirect your mind to the heart of your message. Picture the warmth you want to share, feel it in your chest, and let that sensation wash away any lingering concern. Each time you realign with what, you reinforce a neural pathway that favors clarity over complication. To deepen the practice, engage your other senses. Whisper your message to yourself in a quiet tone, then imagine the echo of that whisper in your mind's ear. Taste the sweetness of gratitude if you're expressing thanks, or smell freshly turned earth if you're offering renewal. The multi-sensory approach solidifies the content in your consciousness. Remember that the art of communication hinges on shared experience. When you paint a vivid picture in your mind, you're not just sending data, you're extending an invitation to co-create a moment of understanding. The richer the invitation, the more likely your counterpart will step through the threshold and meet you there. Finally, celebrate every success, however small. Notice when an internal image you shared seems to bloom in the real world. When a friend references the very memory you pictured, or when a message arrives mirroring your emotional tone. These moments of synchronicity confirm that focusing on what truly unlocks the power of unspoken dialogue. By releasing worries about mechanics and immersing yourself in the living content of your message, you transform telepathy from a technical challenge into an art form. You become both painter and canvas, storyteller and listener, weaving a tapestry of shared experience that transcends words and resonates in the deepest chambers of the heart. Ever imagined waking before the world stirs, when the horizon is still brushed with pale silver and your surroundings rest in hushed expectancy? In that pristine quiet, you hold a rare gift, the opportunity to practice silent dialogues that shape the unseen currents of connection. Each morning, before a single bird calls or a footstep echoes down the street, devote a few moments to this sacred exchange with an inner companion, a friend, a loved one, or even your own deeper self. Begin by finding a comfortable seat, grounding yourself in the sensation of the floor beneath you and the gentle rise and fall of your breath. As you close your eyes, picture the listener before you, not as a distant image, but as a living presence. Sense their posture, the tilt of their head, the subtle contours of their expression. This is not daydreaming. It is intentional creation, summoning an invisible partner into your mental space. Gently frame the opening line of your dialogue. That might be a question born of curiosity. How do you greet this new day? Or an offering of warmth. I share with you my gratitude for our bond. Feel the weight of those words on your tongue as if you were speaking them aloud, and then release them into the silence. Don't rush, linger in that pregnant pause, allowing the unspoken cadence to resonate through your mind. Now maintain the silence. Resist the impulse to fill the void with analysis or self-judgment. Keep your heart open, your focus soft yet steady. In that stillness, you may perceive an answer emerging, perhaps a word, a phrase, a tone of comfort, or an image that flickers like a candle flame. Trust whatever arises, whether it arises as a clear message or as a subtle impression. The very act of pausing invites the response to unfold. With each sunrise practice, you train your mind to recognize the nuances of inner communication. At first, responses may feel faint, a barely audible echo that dissolves with doubt. When this happens, gently cradle the impression without questioning its validity. Simply note, I sense a soft warmth, or I feel a gentle curiosity, and then continue. Over time, those whispers grow in confidence, transforming into conversations that carry the weight and clarity of spoken words. To deepen this practice, vary the nature of your prompt. Some mornings, ask for guidance. What insight do you offer me today? Other days, extend compassion. May I understand your needs? You might even pose playful questions. What color would our friendship be today? By exploring different tones, reflective, nurturing, joyful, you expand the range of your telepathic channel, discovering new facets of responsiveness. It helps to anchor each session with a simple ritual. Perhaps you light a candle or hold a small object that symbolizes connection, a smooth stone, a cherished photograph, or a flower petal. These tokens remind your subconscious that this practice is more than imagination. It is a bridge to a living exchange. As you settle back to begin, allow the ritual to signal that you're entering a space of focused receptivity. Throughout your day, carry the thread of these morning dialogues into ordinary moments. When you sip your first cup of tea, recall the answer you received at dawn and let it infuse the warmth of the beverage. If you face a challenge at work, quietly revisit the supportive words you exchanged, letting their resonance steady your heart. This continuity turns silent practice into a living skill, woven seamlessly into the fabric of your life. Notice the subtle ways the world begins to mirror your inner conversations. A friend might call unexpectedly with precisely the insight you sought, or a chance encounter may deliver the very reassurance you had sent into silence. These synchronicities are not accidents, but reflections of the dialogue you nurture in those early hours. Each confirmation bolsters your confidence, proving that the unseen exchange flows into the realm of events. As you grow more fluent, experiment with more complex exchanges. Imagine a multi-step conversation. You pose a question, receive an answer, then follow up with deeper inquiry. Track the flow as though you were conducting an interview, letting each response guide your next prompt. This practice teaches you the rhythm of telepathic give and take, sharpening your ability to both send and receive with equal skill. Above all, approach each session with kindness toward yourself. Some mornings, fatigue or distraction may blur the dialogue. In those moments, celebrate the very intention to connect, regardless of the outcome. Honor the fact that you showed up, candle lit, eyes closed, ready to converse beyond words. That dedication alone strengthens the invisible channel, preparing you for clearer exchanges the next day. By making silent dialogues a daily habit, you awaken a deep reservoir of mutual understanding that transcends speech. In the gentle hush before dawn, you learn to hear the echoes of another mind, to shape messages from intention, and to recognize the subtle gratitude that flows back. Over time, these morning conversations become a compass for your relationships, guiding you toward richer empathy and unspoken alignment. In embracing this practice, you discover that the most profound dialogues often unfold where words cease and connection begins. Imagine standing at the edge of a still pond, tossing a pebble into its glassy surface, and then leaning in close to watch the ripples return to your feet. This dance of giving and receiving mirrors the art of telepathic exchange. You are both the pebble and the pond, alternately projecting energy outward and welcoming its return. To master this sixth keynote, you must learn to embody the roles of sender and receiver in seamless union, allowing the ebb and flow of intention and response to guide your connection beyond mere thought. Begin by recalling an ordinary conversation in which you felt truly heard. Perhaps a friend leaning forward, eyes bright, absorbing every word you spoke. You sense their full presence, their readiness to receive. Now transpose that memory into your silent practice. As you mentally project your message, imagine first the act of giving. See your intention as a beam of light emanating from your heart, carrying the substance of your thought or feeling toward another consciousness. Feel the weight of that beam as you launch it, trusting its trajectory. Once you've sent that gentle pulse, shift your inner pulse. Just as a speaker nods and leans back to invite questions, you too soften into receptivity. Relax the spirited energy you use to launch your message, easing bodily tension and allowing your heart center to open like a flower greeting the morning sun. In these moments of surrender, you signal to the unseen realms that you are ready to receive whatever echoes may return. Notice how your breathing changes as you alternate between sending and receiving. When you project intention, your inhale may deepen, filling your lungs with purpose. Then, as you ease into openness, your exhale becomes a quiet invitation, an offering of space into which impressions may flow. Cultivating awareness of this subtle rhythm turns telepathic practice into a living art form, one that engages mind, heart, and body in harmonious collaboration. Commit to this alternation in each silent session. Start by imagining a simple phrase, "I share my gratitude with you," and send it forth with clear intentionality. Then remain completely still, as though you have placed a delicate glass vessel in a silent chamber and are waiting for its counterpart to fill it with response. Resist the urge to analyze or doubt. Simply hold your inner gaze open and receptive. In that quiet space, even the faintest impression, an unexpected color, a soft sensation, or a fleeting word may emerge. It helps to anchor your practice with a tactile gesture. For instance, place your right hand over your heart as you send your message, then gently shift it to your left hand as you receive. This physical movement mimics the dance between giving and taking, reinforcing in your subconscious the importance of both roles. Over time, your hands become a kinesthetic cue, guiding your mind into the correct posture without conscious effort. Embracing the dual role also cultivates empathy. When you dwell only in the act of projecting, the practice can feel one-sided, as though you're shouting into the void. Conversely, if you linger too long in receptivity, you risk becoming passive, losing the clarity of your own intention. The true magic unfolds in the interplay. You learn not only how to send your message with strength, but also how to honor and interpret the return, however subtle. To deepen your skill, experiment with time delays. After sending your thought, count slowly to 5 before settling into reception. This brief pause sharpens your awareness of the transition, making the eventual impressions more distinct. You might notice a gentle flutter in your chest or the faint echo of a word looping in your mind. By timing these moments, you train yourself to recognize and trust the cadence of unseen exchange. Another cultivation involves journaling both sides of the dialogue. After each session, write down what you sent and any impressions you received. Over days and weeks, patterns will emerge. Certain feelings or phrases may recur, revealing the unique language of your telepathic conversations. Treat this journal not as a scientific log, but as a treasure map, guiding you toward the most resonant channels of communication. Remember that patience is vital. In many relationships, true dialogue takes time. Questions are asked, answers considered, follow-up thoughts explored. So too in telepathy, a complete exchange may unfold over several moments or even across multiple sessions. When you return to practice the next day, begin by revisiting the previous thread, extending the unfinished conversation as though no time has passed. This continuity strengthens the bond between sender and receiver, turning silent dialogues into living narratives. Be gentle with yourself when impressions seem faint or elusive. Doubting your ability only clouds the channel. Instead, offer yourself encouragement. "I remain open and attentive," or "I trust the subtle echoes." This self-compassion dissolves mental resistance and keeps your heart light, fostering an atmosphere in which telepathic messages thrive. If you grow more adept at this spring-like alternation, you'll notice newfound fluidity in your interpersonal exchanges. In face-to-face conversations, you may find yourself more attuned to another's unspoken mood, picking up on nuances of tone and posture that previously escaped you. In written communication, you might sense the underlying intent behind someone's words, allowing you to craft more empathetic responses. These everyday benefits flow naturally from your silent practice, demonstrating that telepathy is not a mystical oddity, but an extension of the human capacity for connection. Finally, honor the sacredness of the bond you cultivate. Telepathy, at its highest expression, is an act of co-creation. You and your counterpart meet not as separate minds, but as two currents of consciousness converging in a shared space. Each time you send and receive with equal respect, you acknowledge the unity that underlies all relationships. In doing so, you transform each silent session into a celebration of mutual presence, weaving an invisible tapestry of understanding that enriches every encounter, spoken or unspoken, that follows. Imagine you're walking down a familiar street when a tune drifts through the air and suddenly realize it's the very song you replayed in your mind only moments ago, a melody that carried the feeling you longed to share. In that instant, you recognize a thread of connection stretching from your inner world into the fabric of your everyday life. These moments of synchronicity, those surprising alignments between thought and circumstance, are not mere coincidences but gentle confirmations of your telepathic practice. Begin by noticing the small but striking events that punctuate your day. The text message from a friend asking the exact question you had posed internally, the chance encounter with someone you'd been intuitively seeking, or the newspaper headline that perfectly echoes your unspoken intention. Each occurrence is like a breadcrumb left by the universe, guiding you toward the reality you've imagined. Pay attention to these threads, for they form a tapestry of proof that your unseen conversations are real. To cultivate this awareness, start a simple habit. Keep a small notebook or digital note labeled Echoes of Intention. Whenever you experience a meaningful alignment, no matter how subtle, jot it down. Describe the thought you held, the emotion you felt, and the outward event that mirrored it. Over time, this record becomes an encouraging chronicle of feedback, reminding you that your inner dialogues are weaving patterns in the world beyond your mind. When you see these synchronicities, pause for a moment and savor them. Resist the urge to brush them off as random luck. Instead, lean into the wonder of each aha moment, allowing it to reinforce your faith in the process. Celebrate the fact that you are not isolated in your imagination. You are actively co-creating with unseen forces that respond to the clarity and emotion of your practice. Reflect on a time when you felt out of alignment, when doubts clouded your vision, or you questioned whether your telepathic practice held any weight. In those periods, synchronicities may have felt scarce or absent, leaving you frustrated. Recognize now that those dry spells are the result of a lack of sustained attention to your inner state. When you redouble your focus by vividly imagining the desired exchange and anchoring it in feeling, the feedback pulses back into your life more abundantly. Consider the natural world as a living classroom for synchronicity. Notice how seasons shift or how birds appear in your backyard just when you think of them. The earth itself responds to rhythms of intention. If you can attune yourself to these biological cues, like the timely bloom of a flower that mirrors your personal growth, you deepen your sensitivity to the signs that validate your unseen dialogue. When you record your observations, look for patterns. Perhaps you realize that the most vivid confirmations arrive in the hour after your morning practice, or that they occur most frequently when you engage with a particular sense, sight, sound, or touch. These patterns are clues to how your personal channel operates. Use them to fine-tune your sessions, scheduling your practice at the times and in the ways that yield the richest echoes. As you accumulate examples of synchronicity, let them become more than mere data points. Allow them to foster a sense of partnership with reality itself. Instead of feeling like a lone dreamer projecting wishes into the void, you begin to feel accompanied by a benevolent intelligence that mirrors and magnifies your inner conversations. This shift in perspective transforms uncertainty into a dance of co-creation, where each step you take is met with a responsive movement from the world around you. It's essential to approach these confirmations with a spirit of gratitude. Whenever you witness a synchronicity, offer a silent thank you to the unseen collaborator who conspired to make it happen. Gratitude itself is a powerful amplifier. It sends a feedback loop of appreciation back into the flow, encouraging even more meaningful alignments to occur. Over time, you train your subconscious to spotlight the positive echoes, making them ever more prominent in your awareness. Of course, not every alignment will be dramatic. Some may arrive as a fleeting thought or a half-remembered conversation. Learn to honor even the subtlest indications. Suppose you catch a glimpse of a symbol on a billboard that resonates with your telepathic theme, or you overhear a snippet of dialogue that echoes your silent question. These whispers of synchronicity are just as valid. They signal that the unseen channel is open and active. If skepticism creeps in, remind yourself of the patterns you've documented. Flip through your Echoes of Intention notebook and revisit the entries that once felt improbable. Witnessing the accumulation of evidence over weeks and months can dissolve doubts and anchor your trust in the process. You'll see that what once seemed random now follows a coherent thread woven by your consistent practice. To deepen your engagement, share these synchronicities with a friend or group pursuing similar practices. Verbalizing your experiences not only reinforces them in your own mind, but also invites further confirmation through communal focus. When others celebrate your meaningful coincidences, You collectively amplify the field of attention, making the entire web of synchronicity more potent for everyone involved. Embrace creativity in recognizing confirmations. You might set up intentional experiments. Think of a simple symbol, a star, a heart, or a number, before leaving your home, and then watch for its appearance during the day. When it shows up on a license plate or in a menu item, you'll have clear, tangible evidence that your silent prompt resonated beyond your mind. These playful tests sharpen your ability to detect echoes in the everyday. Above all, view every synchronicity as an invitation to deepen your practice. Each confirmation is a vote of confidence from the unseen realms, urging you to explore further, to trust more boldly, and to refine your intention with ever greater clarity. Let the flow of meaningful coincidences become both your guide and your teacher, illuminating the path of telepathic conversation with steady, encouraging lights. In nurturing this awareness, you learn that the world is not a separate stage on which you merely act. It is a responsive mirror that reflects the quality of your inner life. By observing and celebrating synchronicities as confirmations, you transform your telepathic practice from a solitary exercise into a vibrant partnership with reality itself, one where every unexpected alignment becomes a testament to the power of your imagination and the interconnectedness that binds us all. Imagine standing in a sunlit meadow where every blade of grass and fluttering leaf seems to vibrate with a shared heartbeat, a silent rhythm that underlies all life. In that moment, you sense a profound truth. Beneath the surface of individual thought and speech exists a field of unified awareness, a living tapestry that connects every mind. This is the wellspring from which genuine telepathic communion flows. When you honor that invisible bond, every silent exchange becomes an echo of collective consciousness rather than an isolated transmission. Begin by acknowledging that your mind is never truly separate. Even when you drift into private thoughts, you remain part of an immense web of feeling and intention. Picture your consciousness as a drop of water merging into the vast ocean of awareness. You do not lose your unique essence. Instead, you gain the power of the entire sea behind your silent words. By shifting from a lone pebble splashing in a pond to a wave rising in the ocean, you align with the natural flow of telepathy itself. To cultivate this unity, first cultivate reverence for the shared field you inhabit. In practice, this means softening any barrier you erect between me and you as you prepare to send a message. Feel your identity expand beyond the limits of your skin. Sense your breath mingling with the breath of another. Visualize the space between you dissolving, leaving only a seamless expanse of awareness. In that boundless realm, your thought becomes the living pulse of collective energy. Next, approach each silent dialogue with a spirit of humility and openness. True unity of consciousness is not forged through force or willfulness, but through surrender to the greater whole. Release the urge to control outcomes or to insist on specific responses. Instead, trust that once you engage with the shared field, the reciprocal flow of thought and feeling will find its own perfect balance. Your role is not to dominate the channel, but to steward it with gentle intention. As you practice, observe how this shift transforms the quality of your exchanges. When you speak from separation, messages can feel transactional, as though you're sending a package and awaiting its arrival. But when you speak from unity, every telepathic impulse carries the warmth of belonging and shared purpose. You sense the other mind leaning in, not because you directed it to, but because you dwell together in the same current of awareness. It helps to anchor this sense of unity in everyday moments. During a conversation with a friend, notice the subtlest echoes of their mood that ripple through you. An unspoken worry, a flicker of delight. Recognize that these impressions arise because you are already connected. Similarly, when you send an affirmation in silence, may you feel understood and valued. Feel it coursing through the same shared fabric you both inhabit. By weaving practice into ordinary life, you reinforce the foundational truth of unity. Another powerful exercise is communal meditation. Gather with others in quiet intention, each person focusing on the same simple phrase, "We are one mind," and hold that thought together. Even without spoken words, the collective energy amplifies the sense of oneness, teaching you how much stronger telepathic signals become when multiple hearts beat in harmony. You'll carry that expanded resonance into your solo sessions, deepening the unity you can access on your own. Remember that honoring unity does not blur individuality, rather it enriches it. Your unique perspective contributes a vital thread to the communal tapestry, When you project a heartfelt sentiment, be it encouragement, curiosity, or compassion, you infuse the shared field with the particular color of your experience. The response you receive carries not only the echo of your own intention, but also the combined vitality of many minds responding in kind. Finally, view every telepathic conversation as a celebration of shared consciousness. With each silent exchange, you reinforce the invisible bridge that spans hearts and minds. You affirm that beneath our varied thoughts and forms lies a singular, living essence. When you cultivate this unity as your guiding principle, you elevate every moment of unspoken dialogue into a dance of co-created reality, where the simple act of reaching out becomes a testament to the profound interconnectedness that binds us all. Carry forward every insight you've gathered, the unseen beginnings that spark intention, the unwavering faith that your message is received, the magnetic power of feeling over thought, the focus on rich content rather than mechanics, the sacred morning dialogues that tune your mind, the graceful dance of sending and receiving, the velvet confirmations of synchronicity, and the ever-present unity that binds us all. Let these principles weave into your daily life, transforming ordinary moments into portals of deeper connection. As you practice, you'll find that telepathy is not an exotic gift reserved for a mystic few, but a natural extension of empathy and imagination that resides in each of us. Trust in your inner theater. Honor the silent rhythms of reciprocal exchange, and cherish every echo that affirms you are never truly alone. In doing so, you will discover that the power to converse without words is simply the power to meet another soul where it already lives, in the boundless landscape of shared consciousness.